Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Mother Lakshmi Moni, please accept my humble obeisances.
How are you? Now you're in your
I cannot hear you. Can you hear me?
I could hear you. Yeah. You can't hear me? That's weird.
I cannot hear you.
Okay. I don't know why you can't hear me. Everything on my end seems to be functioning. My microphone is.
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened between the first time and the second time. Now you're in your new abode, yeah?
Yes, I am.
How was that? How did
you get? So far, so good. It's been 2 weeks.
Wonderful. And Hare Krishna devotees. Oh, all right. Very well. Okay, I think you got 1 minute. But you never did tell me what's going on in Cleveland.
I will. It's being recorded. I'll tell you later.
Okay. All right. All right. Please begin. Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you very much. So we'll start with invocation. Can you give me screen sharing rights, please?
I certainly can. And I put a notice about you up on the board. So everybody, we are all familiar with you also already. There you go. Okay. Now you can share your screen. Hare Krishna.
Om Jnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Manojavam Marutatulya Begam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtham Vatatmajam Vanarayutham Mukhyam Sri Ramadudam Shirasa Namami Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Sri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame tu Janakatmaja Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. I am very, very grateful to Mother Lakshmi Moni for encouraging me each time to share something from Sri Ramachandra's life and pastimes. This is like asking a small toddler to describe what the Pacific Ocean looks like. And so it's hard. But at least the toddler can say there's a lot of water. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you that there's a lot of water. Now, what do you see on the screen? Do you see the slideshow?
Yes. Well, okay. I see Rama Vijayotsava.
Okay, very good. So today is the Rama Vijayotsava, or popularly known as Dasara or Vijaya Dasami, as part of the Navaratris. But today is also the appearance day of Srila Madhvacharya, who is after whose name our Sampradaya takes on as the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So this Acharya is very, very famous, fascinating. And his glories, obviously, to keep talking on this, will need a few hours, which I don't know so much, nor am I fully knowledgeable. Yet, with the little that we know, or little that I know, it'll be a couple of hours. But I want to connect it to Vijaya Dasami or Sri Ramachandra particularly, and that's the deity on the right. So there's a very fascinating story. When Sri Ramachandra became coronated as the king, he was an ideal king, loved by all his citizens, and anybody and everybody could come to his palace to see him. There was one particular Brahmana who had taken a vow that he will not eat or drink without seeing Sri Ramachandra that day. And every day he would come, fill his heart through his eyes, gazing at the beauty of Sri Ramachandra, and then take a sip of water or anything to eat. Ramachandra, being a very busy king, if you will, at one occasion had to travel somewhere for 7 days. So this Brahmana came, stood at the gates of the palace, waiting for Sri Ramachandra. And when he was told that Ramachandra is not there in town, he waited. He waited 7 days, 7 nights, or however you say vacation package, 6 nights, whichever we calculated, without drinking a drop of water nor eating a morsel of food, because that was his vow. And Sri Ramachandra, who himself is very, very fixed in his vow, which we will see later, became so pleased upon his return on this Brahmana that he asked Lakshmana, please give our personal Rama and Sita, or Sita and Rama deities to this Brahmana as a gift. Now, what kind of happiness the Brahmana could have experienced, only Sri Ramachandra and that Brahmana and Lakshmana knows. But he received this deity of Sri Ramachandra. Now, this Brahmana worshipped the Sita Rama deities very, very, very lovingly for many, many years. And when his time to leave the world came, he gifted those deities to Sri Hanumanji. And Hanumanji would wear these deities round his neck in a cloth bag and dance all day, chanting loudly the names of Sri Ramachandra. Treta Yuga became completed, Dwapara Yuga started, and Hanumanji met Bhimasena when Bhima was in the forest in exile. And there's a famous story that Bhima wanted a particular lotus flower for Draupadi. I'm going to skip all the details of that story. But when Bhima and Hanumanji met, Hanuman became so pleased with Bhima that he gave them this set of deities to worship, and Bhima worshipped them very, very diligently. From Bhimasena, it came down line by line to a king called Kshemanta. Now, Kshemanta later gave these deities as a gift to the kings of Orissa, who were known by the name Gajapati. And later, one of Madhvacharya's disciples by the name Narahari Tirtha, when visiting Orissa, pleased the king so much that they gifted this deity to him, who brought it to Sripad Madhvacharya. And this was only about 3 months before Sri Madhvacharya departed this world that he personally received these deities and worshipped them. And later, in his lineage, the disciples and devotees till date have been worshipping this deity. And today, this deity is in a place called Mantralaya in Raghavendra Mutt. We were into South India recently, didn't get a chance to visit this deity, our misfortune. But the story is, where did Sri Ramachandra get this deity from? So we have to go back to the beginning of creation. Lord Brahma when meditating on the names of the Supreme Lord, he understood that the holy name Rama means one who is always situated in pleasure or happiness, and one who gives or permeates happiness to anyone. Ramante yogino anante satyananda chidatmani iti Rama padenaso param brahma abhidhiyate. That the name Rama is the one in which yogis relish unending spiritual bliss. So Lord Brahma asked Vishwakarma to carve this beautiful deity of Sri Ramachandra for him. And Lord Brahma worshipped this deity at the beginning of creation. And then from Lord Brahma, this deity was worshipped by Lord Shiva and Parvati personally. Then the deity came to Vivaswan, the sun god. And Vivaswan gave it to his son Vaivasvata Manu, who then gave it to his son Ikshvaku. And throughout the Ikshvaku dynasty, this deity has been coming down as an heirloom. And every king in the Sun dynasty was worshipping this deity until it came to Dasharatha Maharaj. And this deity is so charming if you look closely. Has very sweet, chubby cheeks, a very imposing posture. In fact, Sri Ramachandra, like Krishna, is also called Tribhanga because his body is bent in three places, as you can see. And so Dasharatha Maharaj was so much in love with his deity that he, through Vishwamitra, named his own son Rama. And when Sri Ramachandra was given this name, this deity then began to be called as Moola Rama, or the original Rama. And this Moola Rama deity has been coming down for millions of years and is there in Mantralayam for anyone to go take darshan. So very, very special of how Srimad Madhvacharya received this beautiful deity, and the worship is continuing even till date. And we are very fortunate to hear such wonderful stories. Today being Vijaya Dasami, though, this is a picture of the great epic battle of Ramachandra, Lakshmana, and all the Vanaras facing off with the 20-armed, 10-headed Ravana. Now we're seeing only one head of Ravana in the picture because the other 9 are flying in the air by the arrows of Sri Ramachandra. And the picture denotes Ravana's killing. After that, on the bottom right, you see Ravana horizontal on the floor with an arrow pierced in his heart. And because it's such a epic moment, just the way we celebrate Lord Narasimhadev tearing apart Hiranyakashipu, Krishna killing Shishupala, similarly Ramachandra killing Ravana, and prior to that his brother Kumbhakarna. This is the epic moment of the one of the fulfillments of the appearance of the Supreme Lord Sri Ramachandra. Now, the reason there was an epic battle is that in the beginning of the Ramayana, when Lord Vishnu appears at Dasarath Maharaj's yajna, the demigods pray to Lord Ramachandra, or the Supreme Lord Vishnu there, that please appear on this earth and finish off this demon Ravana and his brother Kumbhakarna and all of the Rakshasas. But we would like to see you show your chivalrous attitude in battle. That is what we want to see. It's like, it's a very bad parallel, but a worldly parallel is people like to see their favorite hero in action scenes and action stunts. So they wanted to see Ramachandra in that killing Ravana in a battle. And therefore this fantastic battle. Last year we discussed sort of the scenes from the battle. And because Ramachandra killed Ravana, it is called Vijaya. Rama Vijayotsava. A celebration and a jubilation of that event. A question would be, is this day only Rama Vijaya Utsava? What about other days on the calendar? Is Ramchandra only successful today? Or is he always victorious? Obviously, the answer is he is always victorious. Now, in this case, he fought a battle with Ravana, but how is Sri Ramachandra victorious always? And so we go back to Ayodhya Kanda, way back at the beginning of Ramayana, after Balakanda. Dasharatha Maharaj is considering, I need to coronate my son, Ramachandra, as the Prince Regent. He's very happy and he consults with his ministers, the Brahmanas, and everyone in his court. And before he finishes this sentence, everyone is, yes, 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 we want him as the king. So Dasharatha Maharaj is a little surprised. Hey, my boy is not even 14 years old, just around that 14 or 12 years old. I've been your ruler for 60,000 years, and I have the reputation as a fantastic king, very kind, compassionate, considerate, loving, benevolent. And yet, you guys didn't even wait for a moment, and you jumped at the idea of Ramachandra being the king. What are some of his qualities that you see? And so the ministers and Brahmanas are excited, are thrilled to extol Sri Ramachandra, one after the other, his unlimited qualities and glories. In one such glorification, they say, Satyena lokan jayati, dinan danena raghava, gurun shushushaya viro dhanusha yudhishatravan. That Ramachandra, who's the scion of Raghu, is a hero who wins over people by his truthfulness, wins over the poor by his charity, wins over his preceptors by humble service, and over his enemies in the battle by the power of his bow. Dhanusha by his bow, Yudhi in a battle, Shatravan, all the enemies are Jayati, wins over. So Jayati means he is successful or victorious. Now, externally, this verse is very simple, that there are different categories of people. One is the general populace, or anyone in this world or anyone in this creation. That's called Loka or Lokan. Because it is plural, it means the entire universe, perhaps all the universes combined, and all the people, praja, animals, plants, trees, birds, everyone. Satyena Jayati. Ramachandra's truthfulness is a complete, hands down, victorious quality. But those who are Dina, they are also won over by Ramachandra by his quality of charity. Now, a spiritual master or masters or teachers are to win over their disciples by the power of their knowledge and realization. But a disciple's objective is to win over his spiritual master or masters by humble service. And Ramachandra is successful at that. And of course, anyone who faces off with him in battle. That's the very straightforward, no debate explanation. But because we are hungry for nectar, as it states in the Srimad Bhagavatam, muhur rasiko bhuvi bhavukaha, that those who are rasikas, those who enjoy dwelling deeper into these topics, to extract as much juice as possible. For such, then we go word by word. Satyena. Of course, it means truthfully. But the word Satyena has multiple meanings. First of all, Sri Ramachandra, of course, is always very, very honest, no doubt. There is no description ever in the Ramayana that Ramachandra spoke anything other than the truth. There are a couple of places where it seems like, is he speaking the truth? But he's always speaking the truth. But that's for another day if I get an opportunity. This is my pitch for the next one. Okay. So one meaning of the word Satya, thank you. One meaning of the word Satya is Satya Vratam, that one who is always fixed in his vow, which means the corollary is also true. One who never deviates from his vow. We know Sri Ramachandra as one such person. Once he took a vow that I will live in the forest for 14 years, come what may. The demigods, Dasarath Maharaj, his own guru, Vishwamitra, pleaded him, please don't do this. Jabali Rishi, his mother, Kausalya, all the residents begged, pleaded him like anything. In fact, Dasarath Maharaj lost his life. Yet Ramachandra did not budge from his vow. Not that he didn't care for his father's life, but that was the promise he made for his own father's dignity. Another meaning of the word Satya is Satya Param or Param Satyam, as we hear in Bhagavatam, that Param Satyam Dhimahi. Ramachandra is the absolute truth, although he emphasizes again and again and again that I am not the Supreme Lord, I am just a human being. A scholar in Ramayana, or an Acharya, he says it a little tongue-in-cheek way, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we know, anytime someone said, oh, you are Lord Vishnu, he would close his ears, say Vishnu, 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 and jump in the Ganges. Although he is. But he never expressed his godhood. He always expressed himself as a devotee. Ramachandra always expressed himself as a human being. So this Acharya says that Ramachandra spent his life convincing people that he's a human being, and nobody believed him. Lord Shri Krishna spent his entire duration of 125 years convincing people that he is God, but nobody believed him. So Param Satyam. The third meaning of Satya is Tri Satyam, that the Supreme Lord Sri Ramachandra is always the absolute truth in all phases of time and space. Tri Satya means he's the Supreme Lord on the earthly realm, he's the Supreme Lord in the heavenly realm and in the lower realm, or the Supreme Lord in the past, present and future. And therefore he's always victorious. He's there before creation, he's there during creation, and he's the one who remains after creation. Another meaning for Satya is Satyasya Yonim Nihitam Cha Satye. He is the cause of all the relative truths and within all the elements of creation. And therefore he's called Sarvakarana Karanam. Satyasya Yonim. Anything that is called Satya, it is from him that it comes because he is the Yonim, or the womb from which everything comes. Janmadhyasya Yataha. Then another meaning, the fifth meaning of Satyam is Satyasya Satyam, that anything that we accept as truth. Ramachandra, the Supreme Lord, is the truth behind it or within it. Without his presence, something cannot be called truth. So there is nothing without his presence. So everything is truth or existing eternally. The sixth meaning of Satyam is Rita Satya Netram, that anything that we can observe or see that is pleasing or truthful, he is the origin of it. And Satyatmakam, everything pertaining to the Lord is truth. Atmakam is one's nature. Satya Atmakam. So for a conditioned soul, truth is at a very, very superficial surface level. And deep down, there may be other things mixed in. But further deep down, the soul itself is nothing but Sat Chit Ananda. So Satyena Jayata, Satyena Lokan Jayati, it means that these are all the factors by which the Supreme Lord ascertains and exerts his supremacy. But in a very loving way, though, not in a proud, arrogant way. So the next one is Danena, Dinan, Danena Jayati. So Dana is, of course, one meaning we all are aware of is charity or charitableness. So Danena in general is by benevolence. He wins over those who are helpless, Dina, or even fallen, by his benevolence. So her name for him is Dina Bandhu. So charitability or charitableness of nature comes from those who don't have. He gave away his entire kingdom. In the 11th canto, the beautiful verse Karabhajana Rishi expresses is Tyaktva Sudushtam Surepsita Rajya Lakshmi. That he just gave away a kingdom that is coveted by all the demigods. He didn't even look at it. He treated it like some pebbles. Like in Bhagavad Gita, we hear Krishna says, Sthita Pragya is one who treats gold and stone in the same way. It means that they don't care for it. Doesn't mean that they collect gold, stones and think of it as gold. He gave away his kingdom, his jewelry, his opulence as a king without any hesitation because Kaikeyi was in a very Dina condition. And her fear was that she would not have anything left. She would not have not only money or opulence or princely or queen-like treatment, but that no dignity. She would have to live like a servant. And that fear, Sri Ramachandra removed by just giving up the kingdom and walking away as soon as he heard that he has to leave. He didn't wait. His mother begged him, please stay one more night with me. I want to be able to gaze at your beauty and fully drink your beauty through my eyes so I can sustain for 14 years. And he said, no, the father has ordered, I'm leaving right now. And while he's going away to the forest, there's a sage called Jabali, which we hear as Gautama Rishi's, Gautama of Rishi's story of Satyakama Jabala, the same Rishi, Jabali. Asked him to, there's a Brahmana that, I'm sorry, not Jabali, there was a Brahmana who was very weak and fragile and came to beg alms from Sri Ramachandra, and Ramachandra told him, throw this stick as far as you can, and wherever it lands, that much amount of land that it covers, I will fill it up with gold, jewelry, cows, and whatever opulence that you want. He didn't know Sugriva or Vibhishana, and yet fought for them and gave them their kingdoms. He gave Sugriva the entire Kishkinda. In fact, on the day of coronation, when Sugriva is being coronated as the king, Ramachandra was sitting in a cave. He didn't even feel I should be there because Sugriva is going to give a speech of how wonderful I was in giving him the kingdom. Ramachandra said, no, I promise not to enter any city or town, that I will remain in the forest. So he was on Mount Prasavana, but gave the entire kingdom to Sugriva. After killing Ravana, Ramachandra said to Vibhishana, this kingdom is all yours. I don't need it. Vibhishana said, please sit on the throne. Please accept this. I am your surrendered servant. You be the king of Lanka. No, I don't want it. It is yours. And for any one of us, if we approach him with dainya, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur tells us, then he is willing to give, not necessarily things. Those also may be, but he is willing to give himself. That is his benevolence. And that he extends, another meaning of his charitableness, danena, is that he extends his grace to anybody and everybody who approaches him humbly. So he doesn't even hesitate for a moment. Ahalya, who was there, invisible to anybody for thousands of years, waiting when the lotus feet of Sri Ramachandra will enter their ashram and that she will regain her dignity. Or Shabari, for 60 plus years, she was told that one day Ramachandra and Lakshmana will come to this ashrama, and her spiritual master left the ashram and went and told her, you wait. So every day, she collected forest fruits and flowers and would wait at the door of the ashram that today Ramachandra and Lakshmana may come. And they didn't come. She did the whole thing again the next day. They didn't come. Like this, she waited for 60 plus years. And one day they showed up. And she was ready to serve them. The millions and millions of sages in Dandaka forest who've been hiding there, being tortured by Ravana and Ravana's goons, Maricha, Subahu, Tataka, and a whole bunch of them, Karadushana, Trishira, 14,000 of them, somehow did not violate or fall away from their vow of serving and chanting the names of Sri Ramachandra. They waited and waited and waited for years and years and years and years. And finally, they were so thrilled or enthralled by Ramachandra's presence, because he left his kingdom to be with them in the forest for 14 years. And many, many such devotees receiving Ramachandra's grace. Ramachandra also gave the gift of life as charity to Maricha, who was actually deserving to die, but he left him, just pushed him 800 miles into the ocean. Surpanaka, who attacked Sita Devi, deserved to be killed, but only her nose and ears were cut off, but her life was preserved. Ramachandra gave a gift of life to her. While they're in the forest, the son of Indra, who came as a crow, pecked on Sita Devi's chest and breasts, and they were bleeding. Ramachandra picked a blade of grass and invoked the Brahmastra. That for sure we know is extremely devastating, and that crow went all over the universe begging for mercy. And everyone said, oh, this one, when Ramachandra releases a weapon, nobody can counter it. You have to go to Ramachandra. But the crow, with some sense in him, went to Sita Devi and fell at her feet. And that is when Ramachandra gifted the crow his life back. Ravana himself, the epic battle, Ramachandra completely shattered Ravana's chariot, the horses, the horse driver, the staff, the flag, everything was broken. Ravana was humiliated. And Ramachandra told him, I think we'll stop the battle for today. Go home. Think about it. Think about what has happened today. And even now, I'm letting you bring Sita Devi back and this battle ends. But the fool didn't consider it. Here's a side point. Another Acharya explains that Ravana had 10 heads, and the head is the sign of intelligence. Could have walked 10 steps towards Ramachandra and regained his kingdom and lived like an emperor for the rest of his life. Instead, walked a long way back to his palace to lick his wounds and come back the next day as a complete idiot and get killed. Sometimes material intelligence gives counterproductive advice. The next is Shushushaya, by humble service. Actually, we know from Bhagavatam that through humble service to the great sages and great persons, we gain a taste for hearing. Vasudeva Katha Ruchi Syam. So there's a beautiful verse in the Valmiki Ramayana. Shila Vriddhair, Jnana Vriddhair, Vayo Vriddhaishcha Sajjanaihi, Kathayan Astavai Nityam, Astra Yoga Antareshvati. Ramachandra was such a person that while he was in training of archery, whenever the teacher would give them a break, he would run and sit with Sajjanai, the great saintly persons. And in Ramachandra's consideration, who is saintly? The three categories are given as Shila Vriddha. Vriddha means, generally we say elderly. Actually, Vriddha means one who is very wise, or one who is very experienced. So there are three categories of people who are considered like that. Shila Vriddha, one who is very, very elevated by their character and conduct. The next is Jnana Vriddha, one who's very elevated by their knowledge. And third, Vayo Vriddha, one who's very elevated by age. And it occurs in this order because somebody can be younger, but having greater character and conduct. So they should be considered an elder person. One may have a lot of knowledge, but may not have all the character necessarily, meaning they may have great knowledge, but their application may still yet to be developed. Still, they are considered superior because they have more knowledge. And one may have more age, may not have the same character, may not have the same knowledge, but because they are experienced through age, they're considered elevated or worshipable. So Ramachandra would go and sit with these groups of sajjanas, Kathayan Astavai Nityam, and every day hear Katha from them. Naturally, he won their heart. What to speak of how he won Vishwamitra's heart? I'm looking at our clock. So he's very eager to associate with saintly persons, especially Vishwamitra's heart was completely stolen by Sri Ramachandra. Ramachandra would go and visit Agastya Muni and bow down to him. Although Agastya knew that this is the Supreme Lord, yet he would bow down. When he met Ahalya, and Ahalya was released from her curse, she bowed down to touch Ramachandra's feet, and Ramachandra touched Ahalya Devi's feet. Extremely, extremely humble personality. And finally, it says Dhanusha, by his bow. So Ramachandra can subjugate anyone who's opposed to dharma, because the bow is a representation of dharma. So anyone who's opposed to dharma, Ramachandra, using his own dharma or character or fixed in righteousness, can win over them. So there's a phrase, Swami Swabhava Sukriteshu, Ataha Dharmam Cha Karmukam. That Ramachandra was the Swami, his own nature is Sukrita, is full of great conduct. Why? Because he holds this bow, Karmukam, called Dharma. And today being Dasara, it means Sri Ramachandra removes all the sins. That's why he is victorious. He removes all the sins from anyone aspiring to approach his lotus feet. The interesting thing is when Ramachandra fought the battle with Ravana, up until the very last moment, in the entire description of Ramayana, Ramachandra never ascended a throne. He was always standing on the ground and fighting. When he fought Tataka and Subahu and Maricha, he was standing on the ground. Although Kshatriya should always be on a chariot and they get titles right. His father had the title Dasharatha. From the Bhagavad Gita, we hear titles like Atiratha, Maharatha, etc. Ramachandra was the greatest of warriors, always stood on the ground and fought. When he killed 14,000 demons in a matter of 72 minutes in Janasthan, he was standing on the ground.
72 minutes.
When he fought Kumbhakarna and Ravana, Indrajit, all of them, Ramachandra was standing on the ground. So one great Ramayana Acharya describes that Vibhishana at some point became concerned and asked Ramachandra, everyone else is fighting on their chariots. You're the only one on the ground, and especially this Ravana. Look at his chariot. It's flying in the sky, and he's fighting you, and you're standing on the ground. Don't you need a chariot? And Ramachandra said, the chariot that I ride is not something that's visible to the eye. And he described that there are 14 dimensions or 14 parts of the chariot that Ramachandra rides on, even when it's not visible. It's called the chariot of Dharma. So 14 parts of the chariot are, of course, the wheels. So like in Katha Upanishad, we hear how the body is compared to a chariot with the wheels like day and night with 12 spokes in it that count the hours of the day and night. Similarly, Ramachandra describes the chariot of Dharma that he rides. The two wheels are called Shaurya and Dhairya. Shaurya is valor, and Dhairya also means courage or sobriety. Because having valor without the necessary sobriety, one can become very cruel or indiscriminate. This staff or the dhwaja is called truthfulness. The flag that flies on that dhwaja is character, or good conduct. Ramachandra is called Shila, or Shilavan, or Sushila. The horses on this chariot are called self-confidence, Atmabala. Krishna says to Arjuna, Hridaya Daurbalyam, weakness of heart. In this case, very strong. Heart is very strong. Discrimination by purified intelligence. Sense control and benevolence. In the desire to benefit others must be there. These are the horses that guide or guiding principles of one's life. Ramachandra's particularly. But these horses need reins. And the three reins are called Kshama, Kripa, and Samata. Kshama means forgiveness. Kripa, obviously we know. Compassion. And Samata is equanimity of mind. Or one could say equal vision unto everyone. Not partial, but equal to everyone. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. The charioteer driving Ramachandra's chariot of Dharma is called Bhakti. One should have in one's life, if one needs to ride on the chariot of Dharma, this idea of devotional service. Then a warrior needs a shield. That shield is called Vairagya, or detachment. A sword that he should carry is one of satisfaction. Because without satisfaction, greed will eat up the person. The axe that Ramachandra carries is his charitable nature. The spear that he has on his chariot is Buddhi. Buddhi is just not material intelligence, but the heightened intelligence that allows him to make proper judgments of what is right, what is wrong. Now, along with that, the bow that is holding in his hand is called Vijnana, because dharma without Vijnana has no meaning. And that Vijnana comes from being established in proper scriptural knowledge, being able to discern between Sat and Asat. The quiver that is full of arrows is a clean, pure, steady, and stable mind. And the countless arrows that come from that quiver are Sama, Yama, and Niyama. Sama is a controlled mind. Yama and Niyama are the guideposts by which we are supposed to live. Rupa Goswami has given us 64 do's and do nots as part of our sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Or Prabhupada calls it the regulative principles of freedom. And finally, the armor that Ramachandra wears is his service to Guru and sadhus. And because he's always on this chariot, it doesn't matter whether visibly standing on the ground or not, he's always victorious. His beautiful chariot. And finally, the verse has this term, Veera Raghava. Now, although the qualities are very endearing, the reference isn't with his valor, Veera, and as Raghava, the scion of Raghu. So this got me wondering quite a bit, and I researched for many days. And I found something that I thought was sweet and to me, it makes sense. So I'm going to tell you a story. Raghu was the son of Dilipa, the great king. Now, Dilipa was performing Ashwamedha Yagyas. He had performed 99 and he was conducting the very 100th one when Indra stole the horse. So anytime anyone performs or is near 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas, Indra does not like it. Indra tests them because, generally we see Indra in bad light, that he is insecure and he steals the horse, which is true. He feels insecure. But there's another way of looking at it. That let's say a manager hires someone on his or her team with the idea that they will be a suitable successor. So we can say that Indra steals the horse to find whether this king is a suitable successor or not. So when Dilipa's horse was stolen, his son Raghu went looking for that horse. And finally found that Indra had stolen it. So he asked Indra back. Indra said, absolutely not. No way, Jose. So then there was a fierce battle between the two. And the battle is so intense. I mean, who can win over Indra? That Indra finally releases his thunderbolt upon Raghu, which kills even the greatest of persons. Vitrasura, for example, his entire hands and body and head was cut off by Indra's thunderbolt. It is the most invincible weapon. But when it hit Raghu, he fell on the ground and he quickly stood up, ready for combat. When Indra saw that, he became so stunned, he started clapping. And that is this verse from Raghuvamsha by Kalidas, chapter 3, verse 62. Tathapi shastra vyavahara nishture vyavaharani vyavahara nishture vipaksha bhave chiramasya tatastu. That chiramasya means very quickly tatastu, Raghu stood up. Although they are facing off each other with vipaksha bhave, opposing mentalities. So Indra tutosha Virya Atishayena, Indra became so delighted by this great hero, Veera, by the name Raghu. Indra's another name is Vritraha, one who killed Vritrasura. And told him that, Raghu, I won't give you the horse back, but I will fulfill any desire that you have. So Raghu said, then, my dear Indra, please grant my father Dilipa the credit of performing 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas. And Indra said, so be it, granted. He said, also, please tell my father about this episode between you and me. And so Indra sent a messenger to Dilipa saying how great your son Raghu is. And Dilipa became so pleased with his son. And so Kalidas ends the shloka with this very, very fantastic aphorism, Padam hi sarvatra gunair nidhiyate, which means that a person's character, gunair nidhiyate, means becomes fixed and is visible by Padam hi sarvatra, wherever they walk, wherever they go, they leave their marks of their character. And such that, of course, friends are pleased. Those who are neutral parties, Udasina, they're also very pleased. But what to speak of them? Even their enemies, in this case, Indra and Raghu, as they were fighting off, even the enemies are pleased. Oh my gosh, what a fantastic opponent I've had. Padam hi sarvatra gunair nidhiyate. And because of this great character of Raghu, my sense is in the verse, Ramachandra is referred to as Veera Raghava. And so that brings us to how Ramachandra is always, always victorious, not just today, but every day. So he's called Vijaya Rama. Let's see if there are any comments, any reflections, realizations, any corrections, of course, please. I'm always open to hearing.
Isn't it a tradition, I hear, that today they shoot an effigy? There's a practice of setting Ravan on fire with some kind of effigy and firecrackers. And is that just a celebration, or does that have anything to do with reality?
Well, it is the commemorating of Ramachandra's killing Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Ravana's son Indrajit. All three.
The three of them. Mm-hmm.
In Delhi, they have a whole place called Ram Leela Maidan, which is filled with thousands and thousands of people.
This Dilipa, his son Raghu, that was not the same. That's not Lord Ram, though, is it?
So Ramachandra took birth in the dynasty of Raghu, so he got the name Raghava.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Just the way Krishna took birth in the lineage of Yadu, got the name Yadava.
Okay. Lakshmi has his hand up. Lakshmi Prabhu?
Sorry, Hare Krishna. Sorry, I was unmuting myself and I lost. Please acknowledge my obeisances always to Sri Prabhupada. That was a really wonderful pastime. Lord Rama's pastime just captivated everyone. We can, like you said in the beginning, it's like, nectarian droplets. We can keep on hearing and hearing, and we can sit continuously and hear. Yes, for some reason, even people in India, they're more fascinated about Lord Rama's pastime compared to Lord Krishna's pastimes, because he is such a gentleman. He perfectly follows the Dharma, and people connect their life with Lord Rama's difficulties all the time. So that's one thing, right? I just relishing the point, like. Though Lord Rama is all like you said, Lord Rama always standing on the ground and while he is fighting. So maybe I'm thinking that maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. That's what he wanted us to do, like know your grounds, like we say in English. Know your grounds. So don't be, no matter what, whichever situation we are in, always know that you are a servant of the God. That was I was just thinking back in my mind. Maybe exaggerating a little bit, but yeah.
Thank you.
Lord Rama.
Standing your ground is what is said. Thank you for that reflection.
And apart from that, thank you very much again.
I was really liking that story that you told, because I once heard a class when I was in Mayapur, and the devotee who was speaking, he was saying how in India, people, it's easier for them to relate to Ram as God than it is for them to relate to Krishna as God. So that quote that you made that, God, Krishna was trying always to convince people that he was God, but no one believed him. And Ram was always trying to convince people that he was an ordinary human being, and no one believed him. He was saying, because Ram has all these wonderful qualities and always exhibited all these wonderful qualities that you so eloquently described, it's easy to aspire for those qualities and want and assume that someone who has those qualities is the Supreme Lord, whereas Krishna is a bit of a rascal at times and does things that are contrary to what people conceive as God, that God would do. If they were God, they wouldn't do those things. Unfortunately, as human beings, they happily do those things. But I think it's very interesting. It's very interesting how people emulate Lord Ram and appreciate his qualities, but in their own lives, they don't follow them very much.
Sorry, I forgot to mention another thing. I'm very grateful that you presented that Tribanga, Lord Rama's deity. It's really beautiful. It's really captivating. And just wanted to add to like Lakshmi Mata, she said, people relate Lord Rama as a god, but Krishna, and even in fact when you go to Vrindavan, they say, see, the Radha Kund is so nicely structured, but you see the Sham Kund, he's not in a proper shape, because that's how the Lord Krishna is. He's always not cut. Anyways, thank you very much again.
Thank you, brother.
Guru Prasad Prabhu has his hand up.
Hare Krishna, my humble Sister Prabhu. Very nice question, particularly about the Mona Rama Vigraha. So I have been to Mantralia, I have seen the deity, so it's
very fortunate.
And it's a wonderful thing to know that. I didn't know of this, how the deity came to Lord Rama himself. I didn't know that part.
Yes.
That's the original deity. The Mula and Sanskrit says it's original. So that I understood. Thank you very much for that. I was reminded of also one of Lord Rama's promise when Vibhishana came for his surrender. And then there was, Lord Rama, very courteously asked everyone for their opinion. But then finally he said, this famous sloka, Sakradeva Prapannaya, Tavasmi Chayastiti, Abhayam Sarvabhutibhyo, Dadami Etat Varam Atam Mama. So he said, anyone, even Ravana comes and surrenders, I will give him protection. I will, take care of him. So I think that's one of the wonderful other attribute of Lord Ramchandra. So Thank you. Very nice presentation.
Thank you, bro. So beautiful, beautiful verse from Yuddha Kanda.
Famous. Oh, Raja Premika has her hand up.
I was also just thinking of, this difference between Lord Krishna and Lord Ram. And in some ways, it's so hard for me to relate to it because Lord Ram is in such the, godly qualities and mode of goodness. And it seems in Kali Yuga, there's this excitement with joining Lord Chaitanya's army and getting out there and, helping or sharing with the fallen conditioned souls and being part of, this transformation process, us being a fallen conditioned soul and this, Krishna's different pastimes, you see all of these qualities all around. So I was wondering at what, during Lord Ramachandra's time, I guess, what was the instructions? Is it to, again, worship, develop these qualities of truthfulness and charity, or what were the devotees' purpose or role in that time?
So Ramachandra showed everyone by his personal example how to be a genuine human being by being fixed in dharma or Vedic teachings. And he went to the extent where a person can be tested to any degree but would not budge from that position of truth or that position of dharma. Each person, I can't say each one of us, that would be arrogant of me, but each sadhaka or any human being can have any of these qualities, but they're limited, meaning that there is a point at which one might give up these qualities and hold on to something else. For example, let's say hunger or thirst, or any of the regulative principles or truthfulness. People can be truthful up to a point beyond which, to either for convenience or expediency or just to get what's on the other side, may take shelter of lies, even if it's a small white lie. But Ramachandra never did. That to show that one who's fixed in these qualities actually in the longer run comes out victorious, comes out at a greater level of consciousness. So Ramachandra was that personality. So everyone else that followed him lived with him like that. Be it Sita Devi or Lakshmana or Bharata, Shatrughna, Hanumanji or anyone else. And all of his residents, they just gathered every day, more than anything else, yes, Ramachandra's qualities, but to drink in the beauty of his form and be captivated by him. Because in Sambandha Gyan, I mean, the name Krishna has is Madan Mohana, right? Just captivating. And that captivating quality then makes any person do anything and everything for that person. Like Prabhupada. Prabhupada is so captivating. Anything. And whatever Prabhupada said, everyone else just followed. One, not just because he was captivating. Something about him was so mohana, so captivating. His qualities, his demeanor, his sweetness, his smile, his teachings, his own life, his character, his bhakti. I mean, everything combined in one person. It's not just one dimension of it. And that attraction catapulted thousands and thousands of devotees and generations later too. I don't know if I answered Vrajapremika Devi full import, but sort of that's the call to action. Be fixed in dharma. Be a genuine human being, followed or guided by the dharma.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, our time is up, and thank you once again. And I already have noted that you have said that you would come back and speak more. So, and now you're situated, and I'll call upon you. Actually, not far behind, in front of, or coming, is Diwali, which is the return of Ram to Ayodhya. Anyway, thank you so much. I always appreciate listening to you. It's so enlightening and very comforting, actually. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother Lakshmani. Thank you all devotees for this wonderful opportunity. I'm extremely grateful to all of you. Thank you. And it's possible by the mercy of devotees like all of you, my spiritual masters, and of course, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai.
Hare Bol.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
Hare Bol.